Hey guys, and welcome back to the Path to Exile Podcast, episode 12, partner with Mobilytics. I'm Cal Torak, and joining me per usual is Miso Shiro and Dead Rabbit, and we have an extra special guest this week, KingKongor. But before we go to talk to him, we are going to mention that we have the Spotify and Apple Podcast for the audio-only format. So if you don't want to watch on YouTube, hey, we're over there and you can listen to us. So, if you're on your way to work or, on a walk or something and you want to hear us talk about PoE 2. So, yeah, we have a cool guest this week. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to hype him up. We decided to have him on like an hour before the podcast. So, yeah, we're excited to have him on. How you doing, man? I mean, you just completed a pretty impressive grind to 100.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. And yeah, level 100. I hated doing it. I'm not going to lie. Got a lot of help from viewers. We also found a lot of different ways to really, really juice up XP to such crazy amounts. Like, I think 3 or 4 days, level 99. Could have probably done it in 2 with the discovery we did in the last day or 2. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen someone level 99 to 100 this quick. Like, for sure not. Because I was very, very surprised every time since I'm in your stream basically every single day. So I was very, very surprised to see you flying this much. It was actually crazy. And you died like a few times.
5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, and still, like you did 99 to 100 in like 3 streams or something. I still remember, I think it was Karn. I mean, it was SSF, right? Or even HDSSF when Coin did his level 100. But that took like, 2 weeks or something?
Yeah.
For like constant playing. And you just, did it in like 3 streams or something. The 99 to 100, which is, and also for like people listening as well, just to get a glimpse of it. I don't know if that number is still correct, but it used to be that 97.5 is basically the same amount of XP needed or the same amount of grind that it is after that, right? So 98 to 100 is like more or even like close to what it is from 1 to 97. So it's just actually crazy. So if you're level 98, you're basically halfway to 100. So it is,
No, that's true. I mean, I killed over 1 million monsters between 98 and 100.
Yeah.
When you died,
the increase with the insanely juiced experience as well, right?
Yeah.
Did any of your deaths, did the Omen miss?
No. It's very easy to... No, it's not lucky. So what people are doing, people are not reading the Omen. You can only use 1 Omen per instance. Mm-hmm. So what some people do, they have like multiple of these omens, some that will save your life when you get close and it shoots you up. But what happens if you have an omen that basically heals you and then you still die, then your experience omen will not work.
Yeah.
It happened to me once, and then I read the thing, I was like, this is a mistake I see very often. Yeah, it's 1 omen per instance. So that means per map. Yeah.
Okay.
A brutal one.
Yeah. Well, it's still super impressive. I think Farham did 100 last patch, and it was like it took him forever. It's crazy that you did it so fast, and I'm surprised you did it with that many deaths too. So what about it is it that you said you hated the process of it? Was it just the fact that you had to group play for it to abuse it?
It just took so long. It felt like the bar wasn't moving. Especially on the first day of 99, I felt like nothing happened. The first day of 99, I only got 20% in the entire day. And that was by constantly asking viewers like, hey, do you have an overrun map? And then we'll run it together. I will give the tablets and I'll bring the map and all that stuff. But eventually one of my viewers, he said, like he discovered or he saw someone else do it. So basically the trick is you use those towers with the Grand Project so that you can just explore really quick. So you jump from tower to tower to tower and you look for as many corrupted zones as possible. And every now and then in these corrupted zones, there will be maps that have increased experience on the map itself. And these days, maps are not automatically irradiated. You actually have to irradiate yourself. So let's say you find one of those corrupted maps that has increased experience. So it's from 100 to up to 150 increased experience per map. And what you then do, you add 2 of those experience tablets to it, and 1 Vision of Paradise so that you irradiate it, meaning that you can run that map twice. And what you put on top of that is a T16 or T15. T15 is also pretty good, but T16 obviously better, with overrun as much as possible. And then you run that map twice. Those maps with the right atlas have up to 300% increased experience, which is basically a Vision of is basically a Untainted Paradise, but then with way more monsters and still loot. So Untainted Paradise is actually garbage compared to this. And that's when we were starting to get like 30 to 40 million XP per hour. It's just ridiculous.
How much was this costing? Sorry, go ahead. How much was this costing in terms of like per map?
The maps themselves are kind of easy to make with the omen of pack size. But then to make them T16, you have to corrupt, which can also brick it. So you would have to make a really large batch, which takes time. But if you do it as a big group, for example, you could really make this very easy. Because then you have like 6 people looking for all those maps, and then you just do a rotation, and 6 people making all those maps, and you have plenty of 16s. But if you would straight up buy those T16s with overrun, together with the correct, because you need the pink, it's one of the cheapest delirium emotions to apply to it. But those maps were selling for like 10D each, even though they're very easy to make. It's just that not many people make them to sell them, so they're capitalizing on it. But they're easy to make, so I don't know what the real value is, but if you straight up buy them, it's quite pricey. The Vision of Paradise, however, is a couple D, so per map.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth it. I'm like, now that this knowledge is out there, because I did make a video on it on YouTube, I feel like people really want it. Hundreds is not too hard. You just got to grind a little bit. My friend, he did it at level 94 after I was done, and he got 900 million XP per hour at level 94. That's really stupid. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really bizarre.
Still grind though, right?
Yeah, a few days. I'm gonna try it again.
Yeah.
I have to test it now.
Yeah. It was even worse last league. I think when Farm did it, I think he said like overall the cost exceeded like a mirror at the time, and I think the mirror at the time was like 2,000 divines. So yeah, but like on the topic of map crafting, that is definitely something, because I got really big into map crafting last week as well, because because on the build that I'm currently playing, there's a certain modifier on the map that when you do the rarity omen, which is obviously like the one that most people are looking for when it comes to like map crafting, whatever, you get the less recovery mod a lot of the times, and then it's kind of bricked for not just my build, but some other builds as well. And when I was like mass crafting maps last week, I kind of also realized that it's actually very, very profitable to craft maps, because like KongKongor just said, there are certain maps, especially like sometimes I think it's mostly group players. I would think I don't think solo players are buying overrun maps for like 6 to 10 divines. I don't. Yeah. At least I don't think so, because I don't see a way where you could, as a solo player, you like profit in any kind of way doing a 6 divine overrun map. Unless you found like the absolute god juice that no one else has found so far. But yeah, map crafting actually, and I think we also talked about the tediousness of the map crafting right now, with the new system that we have now, and how map crafting has gotten very, very tedious in my opinion now, or in our opinion even. I think
it has always been.
Yeah. But at the same time, it is very, very profitable. Like the way I've been doing it, I basically, all the maps that I couldn't do with that modifier that I just mentioned, I just went for overrun on those, or like the ones where I got overrun, and then all the ones that got overrun, and I corrupted all of them. If that map went to T16, that was just like 5 div. And I just, like, while crafting my maps, on the side, I made like 30, 40 div every single day that I just map crafted. So yeah, it's definitely also a part. And I think that kind of leads to the conclusion that it's just very, very tedious. And a lot of people are just choosing to go the route of, I'm just going to spend the divines here and just buy the maps and not do the whole process of going to the well and then waiting for the hand. And like, it's... the map crafting And we talked about that on the last podcast. It is a little bit tedious right now, and I really hope there's going to be like a bench crafting, like a crafting bench for maps or whatever. Because right now it's a little bit tedious. Kind of.
It's funny that you say that. I mean, what do you think I sent to try?
Yeah.
For the video.
Okay, I'll be making a different video then, because I sent Rabbit screenshots this morning. I've been like, after last podcast, like there were a bunch of comments. I was like, both with controller and the map crafting. They're like, Cal, you just didn't give it enough chance. You really need to like try it for more than like 10 minutes before you get pissy and move on. And I've been map crafting a lot and juicing a lot the last week, and it's like you have to do it. Like I'm at the point where like now I have to do it, but I hate doing it. And like before every stream, I'm spending 30 to 45 minutes preparing for the stream, and like, I don't want to, but you have to, and it needs that process has to be made smoother in some way.
Yeah,
I mean, the biggest problem is just the delirium emotions, applying them. That is just too many clicks. It's silly.
Yeah.
It is honestly a bandits placeholder thingy. They're 100% changing that. Probably the same. Like, just turn those delirium things into orbs so you can right click them onto stuff, and you can just hold down your super fast clicky button like we all have to pick things up. We don't click 111. No, we just hold that button to pick stuff up. Obviously, come on.
Or like,
that needs to change.
Just like have like a certain like delirium, not necessarily a crafting bench, but whatever, to have like a delirium window or whatever. And now I just say like I have 3 slots for every map, right? And then I want for the next 50 maps that I'm doing, I have like 2 paranoia and 1 fear or whatever. And then I just literally I drag in 50 maps, and all of these 50 maps are gonna be instilled.
Yeah,
I feel like
that would be great.
There's just such an easy like workaround for that. I think like Kongor also said, a lot of things in PoE2 right now seem a little bit like band-aid solutions, and the new tower changes and everything we're doing right now with the scarabs, with the tablets, it just seems like it's band-aids for sure. And I don't know, because speaking of the tower stuff, I heard DM, who was in New Zealand and saw a lot of the stuff that they were working on. He alluded to the fact that there's much more changes coming in terms of towers and whatever. And I think they just wanted to get this out as soon as possible, because that was the main pain point of the community, was the tower overlap thing. And I think they did. It is a good band-aid. It is definitely a system where I feel like it's much better than before, but it does seem like it is not quite finished yet. And I do feel like it is going to be part of the next update. At least I hope so.
I mean, I know that in PoE 1, map prep is also tedious. Like, how does it compare to PoE 2? I've never like went and like super juiced maps in PoE 1 before.
I have to think. I mean, I don't think it's that bad in PoE 1, unless you're going into regex lands. If you're gonna start buying maps with regex, it gets really crazy. I've never done that personally. I've always made my own maps in PoE 1. So for me, I've never really felt it like it was that bad. You just got to do it. You spend a little bit of time on it. But in PoE 2, it's way worse. That's just because there's so many layers in PoE 2.
And like you said, the distilled emotions.
PoE 1 tourist, so I don't know. Sorry, myself.
I mean, I think like for me, one of the biggest pain points on top of like having to prep, like the time it takes to prep maps, is it feels like the difference between like the Alkengo method versus the prepped maps. It's just like, it's such a big difference that it feels like it's mandatory. So on top of the maps being like very tedious to prep, it just feels like if you're not prepping it, you're an idiot type of situation. I mean, you're not an idiot, but like you're missing out.
No,
I
feel that way now.
And it's
someone
like,
who's Alken Go for so long, I feel like an idiot for not map prepping now. I have to map prep.
Yeah, I mean, Alken Go existed because, you know, it was a lot more convenient to do in Path of Exile 1. But I feel like in Path of Exile 2, it's just the difference between the two are just way too skewed towards prep that, again, if you don't do it, it's like, what are you doing with your life, right? So I think another part of the problem, for me at least, is like trying to make that gap a little bit smaller. Yes, you should always be rewarded for prepping your maps, but like I think the difference maybe could be a little bit smaller compared to what it is right now. Like instead of being like 10 divs and 10 maps versus 1 div and 10 maps, maybe it's like 10 divs and 10 maps and 5 divs and 10 maps or 7 divs or something like that. I don't know.
Honestly, though, the difference between like divs per hour from prepping and divs per hour for not prepping is probably bigger.
Yeah.
Even bigger in PoE 1.
Definitely. Oh, in PoE 1.
Like
okay.
In PoE 1. Like that's a personal opinion. Like I do feel it's bigger because I do feel like you can go so crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With prepping in PoE 1. I mean, there's also a lot of layers. It's just that the prepping is, I don't know, like right now, if you make, I mean, it's gotten a little better. It's instead of like clicking Exalt Orb on your map 3 times, it's now 2. That's good. And you just straight up, like you just use your Alk. You Alk your map, and then you Exalt twice. That's all you have to do now, which is great. So it doesn't matter what color it is. Like you just, unless it's like 3 stats in yellow already. That's pretty rare. But then you have to apply the delirium, which is like click, 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 and then your map is done. And then you have to do your omen for prefix, and you have to
chaotic rarity.
Apply the desecration. Then you have to go to that place. You have to put it in there. Then you reveal it, and you pick one of the 3 things, and you have to do that every map. Like what I just described was 1 map. That's insane. So it's so much work. And in Path of Exile 1, you just you have your map. You do set it up a little bit. You also apply delirium to your map. But it's just like you hold the click. It's like you go over. You just go like it goes so quick. It's the way we're exalting maps now. That's how you also
it's like
apply
1 distilled
delirium
emotion as opposed to 3.
Yeah, and if you can just hold a button to just do it to all of them, that goes really quick. And then you just put in your scarabs, and that's it. You just have a good atlas. It's a little bit less work. I mean, I think it's okay that prepping your map takes a little bit of time, but I feel like it shouldn't take so many clicks. Like, and sure, it can take some time, but like the amount of clicks needed per map is too much.
Do you like the choice aspect of the Abyss League, where you get the choice of the 3 things? Do you like that? So obviously that takes more time, but do you want that as a part of your map juicing to where you have that choice?
It might just be this league that we have that. We don't know yet. I do think it's kind of cool though, because there's some really correct ones. There are some insane ones. Like I said, the experience one, increased monster pack sizes, the abyssal ones. There's a lot of cool ones. There's insane rarity from a couple. So yeah, Marked of Death. That like one's also 40% insane.
40% rarity, 10% pack size or something. Yeah,
there's a lot of cool ones. Do I want that to be permanent or core? I don't know. I'm not against it. I don't know how rare all that stuff is going to be. But the thing is, though, if it becomes more rare, you're still going to want to buy it, and it's just going to be way more expensive. Like, people are always like, oh, but they're just going to make it less rare, and then people don't care. No, people will care. You'll always want to max out everything. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know if it's a good thing to stay or not.
I mean, I think Abyss is definitely going core, right? I don't think there's a question about it. It's just whether or not we think I think it's more about like whether or not they nerf it versus like whether or not it's going core. And I think if they made Abyss not core, it would be like, what are you doing, for one? Because a lot of people love Abyss, but also 2, you're basically getting rid of every one of the crafting pieces that you've added to the game, which was what people have loved so much about this league. And I also think that going on that point about like Abyss going core and having the things being less common in the future, it would also make sense. And this is why I think part of me thinks it might not be Delvin. Maybe we'll talk a little later, but it might not be Delvin 0.4, because I think that we are, with Abyss becoming less common, either A, they have to add a lot of crafting stuff elsewhere, like outside of league mechanic, or they have to add another crafting league to like make up for Abyss going away and like, being less common. in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 100% certain that Abyss is going core and it's staying. And the things that they can simply up the drop rates for lights, for example. So even though it becomes less common, whenever you do it, you're more likely to get the things from it, for example. Because, like you say, the crafting is incredible. I love it. It's really fun. Sometimes a bit too deterministic, but it's also kind of like what I'm seeing is, especially with my build, the warrior build, there's a lot of easy ways to make an okay weapon that will get you through like T15s and such, and even endgame. I think that's cool. I think it helps a lot of people continue to play the game. And for the Giga min-maxers, those weapons are still a real challenge to make. 15,000 chaos, for example. It's there's something for everyone right now, and I think that's good. And I think that's mostly because of how Abyss works, so that's great. I definitely see it go core, and most of the things will stick. They can remove a couple orbs, because why do you think all those omens don't fit in the new omen tab yet? Maybe they're not sure about them yet. So time will tell.
I think a lot of that stuff is kind of testing ground for them right now. And when it comes to like not only the crafting on the items with the bit stuff, but also like getting back to map crafting, I think it's also like a little bit of a sign of what may come in the future when it comes to like map crafting, because I think the whole desecration mod on maps, for example, is a very, very cool thing when it actually adds some like uniqueness to the map, to not only have like overrun to a map that completely changes what the map is going to be for you, having the stuff with the Union of Souls for the map boss, for example, if that actually made the boss drop good stuff at one point, maybe that would be amazing. Or like I can like only imagine what else there could be in terms of like possibilities to add like a certain uniqueness and to add a certain challenge to a map. And I think that is just something that I personally, and I think a lot of other people, are actually looking forward to the most, to actually have some more challenges and maps. Because no matter what you do right now on map, if you're running a build like I am, or like running a build like Miso, Kongo, or whatever, where your build is pretty much maxed out and you're mainly only looking for how much rarity can I get on this build and how much movement speed especially I can get on the build. Having more stuff like that to be able to add onto maps in order to get a certain challenge out of the map, and then maybe even profit from what the challenge may be, I think that should be something that is going to be amazing for like the mapping system overall. Like for example, if we imagine the Union of Souls thing with the map boss, it actually would be in a way right now where it would actually be that the boss, like we saw in the Shark event, that the boss is completely crazy, like not really easy to kill for most builds, and you would maybe even have to specialize your build a little bit around that to be able to kill a boss like that. But then the rewards are going to be insane and going to be very, very nice. You get like super, super good drops from him. That is just one of the like multiple ways where I think that could add some variety and some like unique challenges to the maps overall. Like for example, we had in PoE1 like a little bit with the Mercenary League that you can just like, because we do kind of have the situation right now that even no matter really, I don't really look what desecrated mod I have on the map. I craft 50 maps. I put the best desecrated mods on there that I look for. But then when I put the map in, it's not really like that I'm looking forward to like looking on my tablets and on my map like, oh, I have Union of Souls with a map boss. Maybe I need to watch out a little bit here. And I think it would be really cool to have a similar system to the Mercenary League in PoE1, to actually have maps where it's like, where you needs to be maybe not just like brain dead 200% movement speed running through the map and whatever you get. I think it's very, very good sign that we get these systems in this league, in terms of like map crafting and also like the item crafting, because I just think like for the future it's a sign for what's to come, I guess, and how they approach the whole like vision, I guess now. So
yeah, no, they definitely have to make things harder for the top ends, but I think the way things are on the beginning, like basically on the lower brackets, because still a lot of people in my chat are asking like, oh, how can I survive better and blah 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 blah. I mean, you, me, and like basically everyone in this podcast, like we're playing all the time. Like we have insane gear. We'll usually have good gear on day one because we know what we're doing. We're sniping items. I mean, I had Ascendancy on day 2, for example, for a couple of exalts.
Speak for yourself.
But it was only 120 exalts on day 2. Like, so it was kind of cheap. I mean, 120 exalts on day 2 is still a lot, but like, and I just threw like a couple divines, and like I think it was a couple divines that threw in, and it was good. That already helps so much. Like, we know we have a plan, we know what we're gonna do, but a lot of people don't have that plan. But I do agree. On the high ends, like when we're giga juicing maps, especially on like a boss like you were killing, that crazy shark, the fact that shark just doesn't drop anything special when it's that strong, then why the hell can he be that strong? It makes no sense. So there should definitely be a better reward for that. Absolutely. 100%.
I wish bossing was more a thing. Like, bossing is the content I want to do, and right now your bossing options like King of the Mist, which gets very boring very fast. Jet's like, unless you craft breach rings, not worth doing. But map bossing's like, no matter how you juice them, it doesn't go well. The only bossing content we can really do right now is Citadel farming, which is fun, but I would love just way more challenging, not just uber bosses, but ways to make the map bosses super hard, because a lot of the map bosses end up having like some good mechanical fights because they're based off of, you know, well-designed campaign fights. And if we could get them to like minute to 90 seconds to 2-minute fights in our juiced builds, and then they're, you know, more likely to drop good gear and good currency, that would be the farm I would love to do. But we're nowhere near that, like, at all. And if you do get to the shark, you wasted your time doing that. So
yeah, no, true.
I mean, boss drops in general in the game are just very underwhelming, right? It's just, for the most part, you go in there and you don't expect to get anything good. Like, that's just 99% of the time you go kill an uber boss. It's just like, one, it's easier than map bosses now, and two, it's like, well, what's the point of farming this thing? It doesn't really give me anything good anyways, unless I get like uber lucky, right? But I also want to clarify that we get. You know, we're content creators. We see what people are talking about a lot of times. And whenever we talk about like the game being harder, we get a lot of like comments like, oh, you know, think it's easy for you guys to say as content creators, whatever, right? It's kind of like what KongKongor was saying earlier. But I think when we talk about like the game needing more challenging content, we're not talking about the game needing to be harder in general, like, you know, all the way through, right? From the beginning to the end. We're just talking about the top end. We're talking about like right now, once you reach a certain point, there's nothing to push for anymore. And like, I guarantee you guys that anybody who is, you know, trying to play the game, if they spend just like a little bit of time, one, learning, but also two, like playing the game for like, even if you only get to play like an hour or two a day, like the league is around for 4 months, right? If you play for an entire month every day, 1 hour or two, you're going to get to the end, you know, within that month or maybe even earlier. I guarantee it.
I don't get the whole argument how giving players more options to have more challenging content is bad for like the lower end of players, or like just because the challenging content is, or like having more challenging content is there for people to strive for or to be able to do it at a certain point. I don't think that makes the game worse for people who might not always be able to reach that certain content. I don't think that is like that is a good argument to have it cut off at a certain point, right?
In a way, it does affect the lower bracket, because like if the higher ends gets to farm like these more rewarding things, what do you think happens? Inflation.
Not just that, but from a design perspective, at some point you have to balance around the top end. So if the top gets just so far away, like at some point that you're like making balance changes to balance around these uber bosses, and that does have trickle down effects. So there is a lot of ways it does impact. I think what is important is like you just have to clarify that we're talking about raising the ceiling without trying to impact the floor too much.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we kind of have the same situation right now, and it will always be a situation like that. Right now, how the whole thing is structured is just that the top end of players are doing basically the same content in terms of challenge, but we do it with like 400,000% movement speed and 400 rarity, right? And kind of the same situations happen where the top end just keeps going further and further and further, and the gap just keeps widening. But at the same time, we're still doing like the same content. We're just doing it so much more faster and with more rarity. I think that's a little bit more boring. On the flip side of having it in a certain way, where it's just like, yeah, there's just like more stuff to do now and more challenging stuff to do, as opposed to just, oh, I have a 2 mirror build where now I'm just like 200% more efficient than another person because I'm like more movement speed and more rarity. I think that's a little bit just like uninspired. I'd rather have it in a way where it's like, oh, there's like real Uber bosses or whatever, or like this challenging type of content. It doesn't even have to drop the best stuff. I think a lot of people would still enjoy having, for example, like super challenging bosses if it even is like an achievement or something. I think it's still in ARPGs, it's still like something to strive for, even if you don't get rewarded with like, oh yeah, you kill this boss, you get like 400 divines. I don't even think that's like a big point for a lot of people, because I think even if that content would not be like the best loot of all time, I think still a lot of people would try to go for it just because like it's a challenge. I want to kill Uber boss X this league. That's my goal for this league or whatever. I think it would still be interesting for people to strive for. And I think we have such a beautiful game, especially when it comes to bosses. The boss design and the amount of bosses that we have are so awesome. And at the moment, they're kind of just like, especially on maps or whatever, it's like the thing you have to do last on the map. It's even for non like crazily min-max builds. I don't think there's like a real like thought behind it. It's like we have these cool bosses and they don't really do anything apart from that. I just want actual fights and have like this super challenging content and like epic phasing fights or whatever.
I mean, to be honest, we're always going to find ways to one-shot bosses, and people are always going to go for that.
Yeah.
So,
but I think the ceiling, like the floor to that is very, very low. Like you can get a one-shot build pretty damn easily, especially this league when like Uber bosses are like half of what they were last league. It's pretty damn quick and easy. But that's
the only
us,
boss
right?
that does it well. The only boss that does it well is Uber Arbiter.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm
But
sad
even
that
him,
if
I'm
you
one
fail
shotting him
him
right now.
Yeah, like eventually you do. But I think the sad part on that one is that if you die, instead of kicking you out, you get to do the normal version.
Yeah, you get the
Like,
normal
why?
one.
I was very confused about that, actually.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
like the first time I went in, I was like, wait a second, what happened here? Why is he so much easier this time around?
He got so much easier. Yeah. It's shocking
And
to
he drops
everyone
the
the
same
first time.
stuff. And you
Yeah,
can
I still got
get the same stuff.
That happened to me last
No.
night. I did Uber Arbiter. I died, and I was like, "Oh damn! I'm not going to get a Prism of Belief." And he still dropped the Prism of Belief, and I thought Prisms were just Uber.
Item level is lower.
Item
Uber
level's
one
lower.
drops 86.
Yeah, and also the drop chance, the drop rate is different too.
Yeah, for sure.
Never
But
had that.
Still, I saw Farmer do like 25 Uber arbiters, and he got, I think, over the course of 25 Uber arbiters, he got, I think, 6 prisms, and 4 of those prisms were on the lower version because he died. So, yeah, at that point, I think like that might have been lucky, for sure, sample size of 25 or whatever. But at that point, it's just like, yeah, why? And that has always also been like the thing when people ask in my chat or whatever, when I was doing Citadel hopping as a like currency farming strat the last few days, and people were like asking, wait, who even buys like the arbiter fragments for like 6 divine?
It's fun.
Try? Because there's but that's what people are looking for. People want to have like a return on investment at all times, right? Why am I doing that? That's the question. Whether you are a casual player or whether you are a top end player or whatever, the first thing people are always going to ask for is like, okay, when I do this, what can I get out of it? That's always the number one question. And if the answer is like,
A +3 Prism of the
was-
Belief for Spark sells for over 2,000 Divine right now. So that's why you do Uber Arbor. But let's move this conversation to talking about patch 0.4 predictions, since we're just talking about content we're wanting in the game. And I think what answers a lot of the problems that we're having is Delve in terms of challenging content for your build. When you want to push a high Delve depth, you can't have a 200% move speed glass cannon build. You're going to need something that can really survive some hits. You're not going to have to lean into move speed. You might want rarity. I don't know. It depends on what rarity looks like for with Delve. But in terms of like having challenging content, you have a benchmark for your builds with Delve. The idea of just being able to sit there and be like, okay, with this build, I want to see if I can get Delve 2,000, 3,000 or something like that. Like just seeing how deep you can go. So that's where I like. Obviously, I think we need something like Misto alluded to, that you just can't have Delve. We need something that's also a very important in-map mechanic. So maybe like Delve plus Harvest has to come or something. But for me, in terms of challenging content, and this the way I play my builds, Delve is exactly what I need. And we've got some like leaks. We've had plenty of leaks in the past, like martial artists and stuff, but that didn't end up coming. But Delve is my hope. But let's just go around and, what are your biggest, like, Delve would be just like solve the league for me. I would sit on one character for so many weeks in Delve. So what about you guys?
I mean, for me, of course, I'm looking forward to Delve, right? Just like having a different vertical for how you can scale your character is just like you said, it's what we're talking about this entire time and what I think is really lacking in Path of Exile. But again, what I was mentioning earlier is that we are going to be missing out on a big part of crafting. I know that KongKongor said that you could just increase the drop rate of the items from Abyss, but then at that point, it's like it makes it so that Abyss feels like it's a requirement to farm. Like if you're not farming Abyss, you're not getting the currency, or like Abyss is going to be the best way to make money or something like that. Like at least that's how it feels like to me. So I still feel like they might need a little bit more of a crafting bend to it, or they could make Delve into a little bit more crafting focused as opposed to, or like put a little bit more crafting power to Delve as opposed to like what it is before with just fossils, right? Just adding a little bit more juice there.
Hold on. So do you feel like you're required to do ritual right now?
Me? No, I don't think I require a ritual, I guess. But the thing is,
ritual has always
ritual
been
does
like
have
super required to do the crafting. Still is.
It is.
I never
it
do
is.
Yeah.
Someone out there will do it for us.
But I don't think the amount of power for crafting from ritual was, well, first off, right? I don't think a lot of people crafted in the before Abyss, right? I think most people didn't craft before Abyss. And I think that there is a good bit of power in ritual for what you get from the omens, but I do think that the majority of the power still lies in Abyss as opposed to ritual. So
true.
That's where that's what that
more
I
like
think that's the
entry
big
power.
difference. Yeah.
And also like how the game is structured in a way right now, it also lends itself to just being specialized a little bit. So even if you don't do ritual, all the other stuff that you're doing then makes it so in a way that you are just going to be able to then, okay, I can use all the Abyss crafting methods now on my items, whatever. The only thing I need now, and this is excluding SSF, of course. SSF is a whole different nature here. But then it's just like, okay, now I need to buy a few whittles from Ange or whatever. So it's always going to be structured in a way that if you're not an SSF player, there's probably a step in your crafting process where you're gonna at least buy one or two of the stuff that you don't have farmed yet. I think how it is right now is very, very good in a way that kind of apart from ritual, I would say, because ritual, even if you are actually target farming ritual, it might take you quite a while to get all the omens that you need in order to craft on stuff yourself, because most of the time, like even if you just let's say you do maps for 6 hours straight and you only target farm ritual, there's no guarantee that you will even see one whittle or one dexter erasure or whatever. So that's definitely still a little bit of a pain point in my opinion when it comes to like the amount of omens the high tier omens that you get from ritual. But overall, I think we've already made such a huge step in the right direction when it comes to like the basic crafting methods, because it's so easy to get. But we will have to see, and like KongKongor also said, it kind of depends a little bit on what Abyss will look like in the next update when it goes core, which in my opinion it will, but how it will look like and how attainable most of these items will still be, and will it still be this accessible as it is right now? Because I think it's amazing. And me and some other people were a little bit worried at the start that it might even be a little bit too powerful. I kind of don't think it's too powerful anymore, because the top end level crafting, like KongKongor also said, is still very, very RNG based and can still get incredibly expensive, because it is still an absolute slot machine when it comes to fishing for the high tier stuff. How many Chaos Orbs did you spend again on that maze?
Normal Chaos 15,215. Greater Chaos 440 something, and Perfect Chaos 22.
And I think that part of like the very, very high tier crafting will always remain, because making perfect items like that, like the maze KongKongor crafted, that should maybe. Like I don't think this is the perfect system. I don't think it's like good that you have to like just sit there mindlessly for 2 days spamming 15,000 Chaos Orbs. But there's always going to be like, if a mirror tier maze like that would be more attainable, and if KongKongor could just say in 2 hours, oh yeah, I'll just throw 60 divines on it in terms of crafting and I have a perfect maze, then we have a whole different problem. So I think it's all gonna kind of matter, or it's all gonna be decided when we actually see the new systems that they implement in the next league, and how it will impact both the crafting and everything in terms of like end game loop in that kind of way. So,
what would you like to see?
Hold on. This was Miso's prediction. So Miso, are you done?
No, keep running with it.
Are you done with your Miso?
Keep running with it. Go.
If you have more to say, Rabbit, go for it. I just want to make sure Miso finished his prediction before we moved on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, go.
I mean, Delve, right? This was
it was just Delve? Okay. I didn't know that was it. Okay.
I mean, there's more. There's other stuff, obviously, but, you know, I want to see where this conversation goes. We'll keep it going.
What would your dream Delve style be? Like, how would you change Delve to make it fit in PoE 2?
I mean, honestly, I haven't put much thought into that. I think like even slotting it in as it is wouldn't be bad.
I love PoE 1 Delve, so I wouldn't like. Obviously, it had to be changed somewhat, I imagine, but I love the endless depth of it, and I don't know. I play stupid builds like Thorns. That seems great for Delve, you know. Like just you don't have to have move speed. I just stand there. Cool.
Yeah.
I just don't want to run behind a card. That
is true. That is true. I think the card. I think it changes with your move speed, doesn't it?
Yeah, it moved faster. I remember sprinting third.
So it's gonna be movement speed meta again.
Well, I mean,
I play the ultimate Delve build in PoE 1. It's like kind of like my main thing. It's Molten Strike of Zenith. I never Delve. But it's a really, really fast build. Like, it's super fast.
I think they just need to make it rewarding, right? Because like I remember that the people were saying that at some point the Delve was really, really good and everybody was delving, and they just nerfed it massively, and then people just stopped doing it.
Yeah, you either love it or you hate it. I mean, I definitely see the appeal for it. It's kind of cool. I mean, how like deep you can go. Like Steve went like to like the actual limit. It's crazy. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how they if they ever bring Delve to this game, how they would do it. Something I would like to see, Harbingers. I think Harbingers would be really cool.
I love Harbingers. That's one of my favorite leagues.
And like, imagine that we actually go to their world for once. That would be kind of interesting, because we don't know much about them. They're just these guys with a bunch of Smurfs around them, and you have to kill them. And I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that they can do. Also, a main complaint that people have is the Atlas sometimes has maps that you really don't want to run. I mean, you can skip them with the Grand Project, but let's say you can actually change them. Yeah, exactly. That would be super cool. And and like if you do apply the Harbinger Orb, that might be extra Harbinger mods in there, and like some blue glow, or who knows. There's a lot of cool stuff they can do, and it's definitely possible, I guess. So
it's just so much to choose from.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably my turn. On like I feel like just not talking about something ported from Period 1, but especially in Period 2, I think there's definitely a little bit of a not necessarily missed opportunity, but it's definitely something I think could be improved in the future. And I think that's expedition crafting. Because expedition crafting is in a way right now where it just pales in comparison to anything else you can do to items, especially early league. That's basically the only time I've ever used expedition crafting was very, very early league, because you can deterministically a little bit get off your starting gear a little bit like that. I feel like there is definitely something to improve on there, and it could be in a way where I think it might be something. Just if I would have to think about it, that we can maybe start to craft bases for with expedition. So to maybe, and then afterwards we have all the abyss crafting and whatever. But to get to a point where we have use expedition crafting to get the starting point basically for a crafting, that we're not necessarily in need to buy bases on the currency on the trade side, or find the right bases on the floor every time. I think there might be some more possibilities, because I don't know about you. In your playtime, or maybe people in the comments can even enlighten me as well. I haven't really used expedition crafting so far. The only time I'm using the currency for expedition is basically for the recombinator. And I would like to see more in terms of that we can maybe be able to start crafting bases or whatever in expedition. I think that's maybe what they originally wanted it to be. That we actually use the expedition crafting, but no one really does.
I was so excited for expedition in this game. I was like, oh, I'm gonna gamble with, like, what's his name, like the little skinny guy. You can gamble. Yeah, you can haggle. I was like, oh, I'm gonna haggle some divines early league. I have like a little bit of a begin currency, and then where did it go? Like, it was too good apparently. I always liked haggling in the beginning of the league. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
All that kind of stuff.
Have you used expedition crafting ever since?
No, I don't touch it. The recombinator is an insult to what that thing used to be. So.
The only time I use expedition is when I need gold. I just get a few rares to vendor, and then that's like the one time I've used expedition this league.
Gold.
Yeah. Crafting and then non-existent. And I really wonder, I do wonder why they got rid of the haggling system. I mean, it's a fun little thing.
Yeah, it was cool. Yep. Loved it. And then
it's just a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time when I see an expedition on my map, I run the big explosion for a reason, because I'm like, either I don't run it and I never do expedition, or I run it and I at least do it. And then 90% of the time, the loot it drops is like not great, but logbooks are good money, I guess. But
splinters,
yes, logbooks.
I make so much off of splinters.
Money.
Yeah, logbooks are good money, but unless it drops a logbook, then I'm just like, well, I guess there's nothing here that's worth picking up.
The problem with expedition is you have to put the things down. So if you want to do the logbook, you have to run through the place. You put down all the stuff you have to read. I don't like reading. Yeah, I like reading is annoying. I'm playing a video game, okay? So like I just want to, when I go in somewhere, there needs to be stuff to kill. I don't want to have to plan my way through. It's like, oh, if I put something here, then I maybe get this and that. Like, just let me blast. And that's my problem with expedition. That's why I never run it ever.
I did a 8-hour expedition logbook stream the other day just to test the divines per hour and everything, and it's actually like really, really good money. I made in that 8 hours, I made like 120 div or something just on splinters and all the other stuff, and like halfway through it, I kind of realized why it was so good money, because it's actually when you're coming out of maps and you're just like, in my case, just playing Spark, just completely brain off, not clicking anything. That's also why I just go breach now on maps, because I don't even want to do ritual, because it's just like I get it. I get it. It is it's probably a complaint that not a lot of people have, but I just like the brain off playstyle, and I think it's something that ARPG players in general are like gravitating towards, to have this like very, very brain off dopamine hitting stuff. And yeah, during the expedition logbooks, 4 hours in, I kind of realized, oh, this is getting a little bit old, because I was actually just I don't think I ever concentrated this much, because I was looking for the right remnants.
Bro,
I was like, the map, I'm blind on my left eye, so I don't see that well anyways. And I had the map open. I was looking for like the splinter things on the map. I tried to find them. I was like, oh, do I have to plan it like this? It's actually it might just be me, but it's
no, it's not just you. After your video, I went and bought like a bunch of logbooks, and I bought 25 of them to do on stream. And I was doing it on controller. Logbooks are better on controller because you can just scoop with the auto loot. I really like it. Like, you don't have to do any loot clicking. But after 10 logbooks, I sold the other 15. I'm like, I can't do this. This shit sucks. It's just...
That's also why it's so profitable. It's actual work.
Yep.
And how do people, like, just like real life, like if you want to get rich, find something that no one does, but is required.
I mean, it's the same with Sekima, right? It's the reason why Sekimas is like the stuff in Sekima is always profitable, because nobody wants to do Sekimas. Nobody wants to do trials.
I kind of like it, to be honest.
Sekima is so fun.
I think it's very like, it's meditative. If you have a good Sekima's build, you just go in there. You can just brain off and just like just vibe and just zoom in, and you're like, oh, at the end, get some good loot. Let's go. Like if you get a Sekima build running, it's actually really fun. But I understand why most people don't like it.
My warrior zooms through that place. It feels so funny. People. Like today as well, I did like a couple runs, and it's like, and a guy came in my channel, and he's like, "What in the PoE 1 is going on here?" Because it's just so zoomy. Yeah. I love it. It's fun.
I think it's like the difference between like a non-Sekima build or juiced Sekima run versus a juiced Sekima build, like, is just such a night and day difference that when people first run Sekimas, they don't realize that Sekima can actually be like a fun piece of content if you build correctly for it, right? And that causes people to just not run it, because they're just like, I remember this thing and it's garbage. I don't like running it. So, I mean, I don't know. As a non-Sekima runner, I don't really care too much if they make it, a big, like, I would love them to make the base experience a lot better, but maybe the people who run Sekimas are like, no, get away from my Sekimas. I want to keep my profits. But speaking of like the controller being able to like vacuum up items with like, pressing the button, I don't know why Path of Exile doesn't just like implement a hotkey for picking things up. Like, I was playing Torchlight yesterday, and I play mouse and keyboard, and they have a button for me to pick items up. Like, I don't understand.
We need that for sure.
100%. I agree. I think we might actually see that. Since the controller has it, I think we're gonna get it.
I hope so.
The technology is there.
We have the technology,
but like technically, it hasn't Path of Exile 1 had controller for a hot minute too, and they haven't implemented it there.
We'll see.
It's really nice because like it's something like Expedition, right? Like like having to click all the chests all the time, while like, especially with how deadly logbooks can be, like it's just so nice. Like when you have one of those brain off spark builds where you're just holding the spark on the controller, but then you're also just vacuum looting, and it's super chill. Yeah, I would love vacuum. Like if it could be added to a hotkey, that would be wonderful for keyboard and mouse, because I really can't play controller otherwise. I tried replaying. Like last week, I got a lot of flavor in the comments because I really didn't give controller another try. And I'm playing a controller build now with my curse build, and it's more fun on this build. But like, there's just so much friction with controller, like with the UI and like the game. Like I don't know. I don't feel like I have the same control over my character as I do with keyboard and mouse. But there's just so much quality of life that the controller does have that would be nice on keyboard and mouse. So
it's just, again, you just got to get used to it, right? If you're used to playing controller, people can fly through that menu, fly through that UI.
Yep. And the mapping experience, or like the general gameplay experience, depending on the build, is just super
oh yeah, the build matters a lot.
It's probably also, like we've said multiple times before, I think that's also a big reason why PoE 2 has been so successful in terms of just like raw player base, because there is a lot of people playing this on console and even like on PC with controller, and it's deservedly so, because it feels very, very good.
Yeah, well, let's move on to the state of weapon swap. We have an interesting weapon swap meta right now. So in this patch in 0.3, we got instant weapon swap just for everybody. And this has had some great positive impacts for some builds, and I think just overall for the gameplay feel, I think everyone can say it feels good. But in terms of the meta, it has led to some interesting stuff. One of the positive examples is like with my crossbow build, you can have your weapon set swap to different ammo types, so you don't have to like reload different ammos. That's like one of the biggest positives I've seen from it. But there's a lot of negatives with weapon swap, with like the minions in Infernal Legion, where they're literally just running through the map spamming weapon swap, and that is a really unhealthy thing for the game. I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts are on weapon swap. I mean, overall, I feel like the instant weapon swap has been just a net positive for the feel of the game. But KingKongor, what are your thoughts on just weapon swap and what it's doing?
I love it personally for my build. Didn't they nerf that? Like, didn't they already hotfix the weapon swap spamming where they were killing something with it?
Ostrix already found something else. Ostrix already found something else.
Okay, well, it's just gonna get fixed as well because it's apparently not something they want. But I think the way weapon swap is right now is awesome. Like, especially because with my build, if I weapon swap, there's only one button that I can press that will weapon swap me, and that is rolling slam. That switches me to my dual wielding, and dual wielding means no block and also less resistance because a lot of shield, a lot of the resistance comes from my shield. So that is like I either kill what I want to kill or I need to not get hit. But as soon as I press any other button, I instantly have my shield again. So it's very reactive, and I like that. I'm a huge fan of it. So for me, whenever I saw that instant weapon swap was going to be a thing, I was super happy personally. And I've enjoyed it. It's great. Absolutely wonderful. I haven't looked too much at other builds. I've been so stuck on my warrior, like tunnel vision. I don't know how I do it. I just don't get bored very quick. I did play a monk though, but the monk didn't use any weapon swap. Monk used Bringer of Rain and 100% crit and just destroyed everything no matter what. Super glass cannon, by the way. But yeah, I big fan of weapon swap.
Yeah, for me, I love using weapon swap like as a warrior with like just for like block. You can have the shield, like just the instant get the shield back up. Like before, having the weapon swap for blocking was just, or active block rather, was just a pain. Misa, where you're at with the weapon swap right now?
Yeah, I mean, first off, to like address like the the negatives of weapon swap, I guess I don't really see too many negatives other than like every now and then we'll have like, you know, like you said, the Ostrix, like, you know, weapon swapping minion explosion, stuff like that. But I think that's just like, oh, we're gonna fix that, right? Like Kong was saying earlier, it's just like we'll just fix that one and then, you know, it'll be better. Maybe later on we'll find some other like crazy broken OP thing for weapon swap, which, you know, I think is part of the fun, right? I don't think it's a problem unless GGG sees it as a problem, right? Which in this case they do see it as a problem. But I think it's like, oh, this is just like a fun, unique way to play the game. You know, it's part of the game. There's nothing like we're not abusing any bugs, I guess. Maybe they think it's a bug, but yeah, I think that weapon swap overall is just it's such a good thing for the game, and it should have been like this at the beginning, honestly. I mean, I don't know about in Path of Exile 1, but I think in Path of Exile 1, weapon swaps is like pretty much just never used, right?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never used it. Well, you don't weapon swap, but you have that weapon with 6 white sockets.
Yeah, and then you put it in there to level up your gems. Yeah, exactly.
And then you corrupt them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think like it's a cool play style that Path of Exile 2 introduced that I think, you know, maybe Path of Exile 1 could even like benefit from. But it's just like very nice. It's especially like, and they're super leaning into it too with like, I guess I haven't really seen any like Witch Hunter 124 weapon set point builds yet, but if that ever becomes a thing, right, that could be a really, you know, it is really cool that we have the instant weapon swap for that. Like, you know, I'm using like for my, what is it called, the recoup lich that I was playing before, right? I have like a snapshot situation where snapshot the ignites, instant weapon swap over, and then you get the ignite stuff. And I'm starting to do like the Mirage Archer stuff that we showcased a couple weeks ago, with the second weapon swap using a Quill Rain with Mirage Archer, main hand using a regular weapon for lightning rods, right? and that's really cool. I think it's just like it opens up a lot of possibilities for like build making, but also just like, you know, you really can do what they set out to do at the beginning, right? They're like, oh, you know, you can have a weapon swap for like single target and a weapon swap for like, you know, AoE or whatever. But then like when you're just mapping, sometimes it might be hard to swap to that weapon for a single target to kill like an extremely tanky abyss mob or something. But now you can, and it's just really easy, really smooth, creates a lot of synergies, and like you can swap between like different weapon types too, between like bow and mace or like whatever you might want. It's just very fun.
And I think that's the biggest positive for probably the future as well, because we still don't have a lot of the weapons in the game. And I think for especially the future, there's going to be a case where there's probably going to be some very cool variations of certain build archetypes where you go for like swords in weapon set 1 and then for a special case an axe in weapon set 2 or something. And I think that just opens up so much in terms of like build crafting, that you can actually maybe the sword build is like very good at clearing because you have like a whirlwind with swords or whatever, but then it kind of fades out in terms of power when it comes to like the single target damage. And then you have a second weapon set where you have like a big two-handed mace where you just bonk the boss with a big two-handed mace. And I think this will just create a situation where it's so good in terms of what you can go for in when it comes to certain builds, because that's a lot of the cases that happens, especially when you're like doing builds or whatever. There might be, or a lot of times there is a situation where it's, yeah, okay, this build is amazing in mapping, but I can't kill a pinnacle boss. And it just, when you have the weapon swap like that, and with it being seamless like that, and having the passive points on the passive tree to spend on weapon set 2, it just makes it so much more usable, or it opens up so many more builds in that case. And I think we haven't even scratched the surface in terms of that, because there's still a lot of the weapons missing.
Yeah. And like I was doing a weapon swap where I was using the Ice Storm staff to get extra procs for cast on critical hit, because it just hits like so many times per second. So like even just like using weird uniques just for some application like Miso was doing with Quill Rain, like that being instant just makes that just so much more fluid. In terms of the 124 passives of Witch Hunter, I feel like we just need the more weapons for that. Just the problem with that right now is you can't get like jewels and keystones and stuff that are they can't be used in the weapon set passive. So like you have to have a tree. Yeah, you have to have a specific tree that can work with both sets. So like at most you're realistically only going to use like 70 at most weapon set passives right now, but I still haven't even seen someone doing that much. So I would love to see someone that's really utilizing, like, this is a completely different build on one side and then a completely different build on the other side. I would love to see that.
It was kind of funny, like when they announced it, everyone was losing their minds, like, "Oh my God, it's like two whole weapon sets." And I was like, "Well, guys, do you know how those weapon set skills work? Have you seen those sockets all over the map? Those are literally blockades." So, and then like no one talked about it anymore. It's just instantly dead.
I wonder if it would be too OP to like make it so that Witch Hunter might have like another ascendancy point that's like, you can use like dual sockets on like weapon swaps or something like that.
I think dual sockets might be okay.
But
Notables
too much.
No,
notables.
Keystones would be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would be a lot, because being able to do like Giant's Blood on like one setup and then like not on the other, like that would be pretty cracked.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
But it's like what you said, right? The dual sockets are literally blockades.
Yes.
So, getting rid of that might be, maybe open up some more options to make that actually viable. Because as it stands right now, I really haven't seen any like build that super utilizes the double weapon set swap stuff that Witch Hunter can really take advantage of.
Maybe the easy solution, because I can see how it's too OP for unique jewels as well. So make it that only you can get a weapon set jewel socket, but then you can only put like yellow jewels in it, no uniques, for example. That'd be a solution, for example.
Yeah, I could see unique. Yeah, unique jewels would be a problem for sure. Yeah, that would be crazy. Be fun though. As someone who plays Witch Hunter every league, like, and I've had 2 Witch Hunter builds this league. It's like I don't see like there's no build that comes to mind that's like this is going to perform well using this. It would be like I'm sure there'd be like a plenty of like good enough builds, but like for like pushing the hardest content, like at this point in the league, I mean, I would love to see it. So if someone out there sees a well-structured Witch Hunter build using the weapon set passives, let us know in the comments, and maybe we'll feature it on next week's episode. But yeah.
I honestly thought there would be more popping up when they did the last minute change to Witch Hunter. When they introduced that, I saw a lot of people like going absolutely crazy about that change. And I kind of thought that would lead to the fact that there's going to be more people actually utilizing that. But didn't really. I haven't really seen a lot of people utilize that so far, at least. Like I said, maybe it's opening up when there's more weapons or whatever, but yeah, it's definitely something, and that's probably also the reason why they even did that, because they were pretty confident that there's not going to be anything that truly breaks the game because you're able to use the 100 weapon set points. But yeah, I think for the future there's it's definitely something that should be part of it, and it's overall just very, very good for build crafting.
I mean,
I kind of utilized it already on the last league when I did the Mjolnir Thor build. That one was completely reliant on having a second weapon set, because the Mjolnir with two-handed mace and weapon set 1 was very good for clear, but then you needed 2 two-handed maces for the weapon set 2, because the Mjolnir just didn't offer any damage to be able to kill pinnacle bosses. So there is probably a few builds, or a few more builds even this league, that definitely also rely on the weapon set, weapon swap being like that.
I also don't think that grinding gear games is that averse to adding. I mean, they are averse to, a lot of OP stuff, but like, technically that they did this thing like last league where they're like, oh, we're adding this Rhoa riding thing that, could just be really OP, but we're just gonna let players have fun with that for now. Because, I think that Rhoa riding is pretty damn busted, especially ever since it's been added, it's always been on the top meta build, right? It's always been in the top meta build. Yeah. Even when last league.
It feels so good to outrun them.
I mean, you can outrun them, but the fact that they could just do it cruising and just attacking, eyes closed, falling asleep, like it's it's definitely a little bit busted. And I think it's weird that there's certain builds that, like, for some reason, even though you're a ranged build like a spellcaster, you can't use it. I don't know. I think that's
that always bummed me out with Rhoa. Yeah.
It also just goes back to the movement speed question, right? If there's a way to get more movement speed in the current state of the game, everyone's just gonna take it, because that's the min max that you are going for now, because we don't need more damage, we don't need more tankiness in what we're doing right now in the game. So if there's an option to go for movement speed, and that's the reason why Rhoa is so not OP but so prevalent, it's just because more movement speed. And if there's not a punishing downside to having all of that, why not go for it? It's completely understandable how it is so meta in that
How
case.
often do you fall off the Rhoa?
I'm not playing.
I've never played it.
If you go CI, you will never fall off.
Yeah,
Never.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's like a weird interaction when you have energy shield and CI, and if you take one node on the passive tree, and it can just literally be one node, where your stun threshold is based on your maximum energy shield, you will not get knocked off. It's impossible to get knocked off. The stun bar doesn't even work. Like, it doesn't even fill or anything.
Apparently, even without CI, it's kind of hard to fall off.
Yeah.
I play with a lot of people that were playing Rhoa, and I never really saw them fall off. Maybe once or twice.
The thing is, you just kill enemies so fast they don't touch you, right?
Well, most people play lightning arrow or whatever. So
true.
Well, we are talking about the move speed topic, so let me just throw us into that full topic. Move speed is an interesting state in this game because Buildcraft seems to be just completely designed around it. Like anytime you're using a unique pair of boots that have a low move speed, you're always trying to think of how can I optimize my way out of these unique boots so I can get rare boots with 35 to 50% move speed, and how can I get a darkness and throne with 20% move speed, and things like Rhoa that solve all these problems and stuff. Like move speed seems like it's more important in it's always important in any game. You have to go as fast as possible, but there are just a lot of things leading to just the state of balance right now. To me, I'm curious, KingKongor, since you play like a lot of just other ARPGs, including PoE 1, is it like how much of it is the map size in PoE 2? Because a lot of these maps end up being pretty big. Is that like obviously move speed's always going to be contributing to like a leading like reason to why you want to make a build, but in this game, it just feels like if once the gap, I guess, is just too big, maybe. Like some builds are just stuck at 30% move speed while some are going at 200 or 300%. Like, what is it that makes move speed feel so much worse, at least in this game, to me?
I have a way different opinion. I'm actually really happy that we can finally go fast. Like even my warrior is kind of zoomy right now, and I have played some other builds as well. Like even my monk, I felt like my monk, despite a bit, my monk is killing fast. My monk is not super fast, but he's fast enough, and I know that I can get more movement speed, and I like that. And because of the movement speed, the maps also don't feel too big. I've also probably gotten so used to the game where I'm not bothered by the size anymore because I am starting to recognize layouts. So that also helps me clear through the maps quicker. And knowing that if I don't want to do a map, I can just zoom past everything, not kill anything, just go boss, kill, and move on. Like when I was searching for towers to like do the tower and do the jump, not always every tower is attached to another tower. I was so happy that all you have to do now is kill the boss. So if you want to go through a map, knowing that you only have to kill the boss, if you kind of recognize the map, you run to the boss so quick. Like I remember how everyone hated that Val area with all the lightning mobs, the one with the dark
factory.
Yeah, it used to be Val Factory.
It's
assembly now. Literally, you run in a straight line, boom, done.
Yep.
So knowledge is power, right? And of course, the game was new. And yes, some maps were way too big. I like how they have adjusted everything now. I don't feel like a single map right now feels too big, except for Myra, because I hate Myra. It's too big. It should be 1 centimeter. You enter, boss, done. Because I don't like Myra. But I personally think being able, like, even in the warrior tree now, we have such amazing abilities to get movement speed now. There's a couple really cool ones at the bottom right near the surrounded stuff. That's all in range for warrior. We have that gem enthusiast, which is really good for movement speed. Plenty of movement speed now. I feel like as long as they just balance movement speed on the tree, I feel like we should be able to move fast in this game. And they just have to balance the game a bit around that. But taking away movement speed would...
People hate that.
Once you give it, you cannot take it away. A lot of things you can take away, not movement speed. So movement speed is probably staying the way it is.
That is kind of exactly the worry that I have, because I'm in the exact same boat. I think this is probably a big reason why this is the league where I'm having the most fun, like both in maps and everything that I do, is because of the high movement speed. I am supremely worried a little bit about the future though, because I don't know if they are gonna let us keep all of this. There's like a little bit of a worry on that side, because I think what it definitely does a little bit, and it kind of goes into the same discussion as the whole rarity discussion, because last time on the podcast, I kind of feel like we kind of already said that as well. I think it's on the content that is provided to not make us go into movement speed as much anymore, because why are we going into this much movement speed right now is because we can, because all the maps that we're doing, I basically a lot of the passive trees, and that's also a reason why, for example, the From Nothing Val Pact was the one that pretty much every single build is using, is because of the momentum node and all the movement speed nodes. I think it's on the content then to also be in a way where it's like, okay, maybe I just I have to go outside of movement speed a little bit to be able to do that. But at the same, I love this right now. The being able to be as fast as we are right now is amazing. I said once on the podcast as well, if you like, the worst thing that can happen to me is anything that puts down my movement speed. And if I'm like, feel like I'm moving in mud, that's what's the most unfun to me. I'm just worried a little bit because I already have the situation happening right now that same as Rarity. I'm on a character right now with very, very high movement speed and very, very high Rarity. What definitely happens a little bit when I try out something else, or I like theory craft on different builds or try out other builds, that is kind of the benchmark I'm setting for myself for the next build, because I want to move this fast and I want to have this much Rarity. So all the builds that might not be able to do that, there is a little bit of a dangerous situation here, I think. But I think KongKongor just hit it on the head, basically. I think it's on GGG to also not just balance the content around that, but also maybe look for ways to not have a situation where on the passive tree everyone's just always going to be going for the same nodes, and those are movement speed. So yeah, it's a hard balance, but I want like, just like KongKongor, I want to have the ability to move this fast, because it is a min max on a character that I think is very, very rewarding in the end. When you're actually like starting off in a league, or like perfect example for my league so far, I started off doing ED Contagion, and that's little bit on the slower side, but we also had this the thing where we could use the tech rod thing to be faster than normal on the. But then after doing that build for a while, I went into builds where you had more investment on the build, and then you could look for more and more movement speed and more movement speed. I think that's awesome, because it feels so much better to play right now. I'm just worried a little bit when it comes to like next league or something, and they maybe take away something like that, or I'm playing a build where in comparison I feel slower, because it's a little bit, it's rough when you switch off of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I actually think that's really interesting, right? I think that they did something this league that I think kind of like had like an opposite effect of what I think players wanted, and I think that it relates to movement speed, and that's reducing when we were talking about the size of maps earlier. So it kind of has like a perfect storm effect right now, I would say. So we have characters that are really, really fast now, which is great. People feeling really great. And then they also did this thing where they reduced the size of maps. Now, some maps really, really needed it and needed to be streamlined a lot more, but I don't really think the size was really the problem, kind of going along with what KongKongor was saying earlier. I think it's more about the flow of the maps and how the maps feel to run, right? Like Hidden Grotto, way too many dead ends. Augury, way too many dead. Like, I think it was about the dead ends and the layouts rather than the size. And then now we have maps that are, some of these maps are really, really small, right? Like we get to the end of, what was it? I think your favorite map, Epitaph, Rabbit, you're like, this map is way too fast. Or like Fortress, it's way too fast, right? We want to keep spending time in it.
Epitaph is your favorite, not Confluence?
Yeah, Confluence, dude. I was trying to think of the name of it. Confluence is the one with the big open air with the snake boss.
The Confluence,
Confluence is goated.
The Confluence, that's the biggest density. Like I already noticed.
Confluence. Oh my
true,
God. Yeah. The density is crazy on Confluence, but I always like Crypt. And the epi path or whatever it's called, it's like Crypt's big brother now, I guess. So I really like this one. But like, yeah, Confluence is nice. Also Spring, I think that's a new one. That's also very, very nice, because it's basically just a wide area. It's like there's no map design on that. It's just like a wide area, and you just go there, and it's the snake boss at the end. Yeah, I think those maps, and I think it's not a bad thing that some maps are more fun than others. Definitely, that's always going to be the case. Yeah, but yeah, obviously, it's so much more satisfying to play a map like that, Ravine or whatever. It's so
okay.
Nice.
So
and then,
let me rephrase what I said then, because it feels like.
Hold on. Let me finish my point. So we have these maps that are smaller, right? And we like them. Whatever. It sucks that they're so fast. But then now we also have the thing with map prep. So now you're prepping these maps for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then now you have these smaller maps, and then your move speed is also really fast. So then it's like even more map prep because you're running through these maps so quickly. So it's like we've kind of had this weird like perfect storm where it makes map prep even worse because we move so fast, and then the maps are even smaller now. So I don't know. I hope they address that in the future, where again making map prep better, but then also like finding a better balance with the map sizes, because it does feel like sometimes right now the maps are too small. And again, I don't think we ever had an issue with the size of the maps. It was more about the flow and the feel of playing it.
One thing about that though, like a thing that people in PoE 1 always aimed for is to have maps finished, fully cleared, like under 1 or 2 minutes, because otherwise you're not efficient. So I personally don't see this change, because that's what a lot of people want, especially endgame users. But yeah, I feel like it's easily fixed if map prepping exactly like how you said it just gets less tedious. That'd be great.
I guess my complaint is, which I guess is an unsolvable one, is like lately I've just been, with my curse character, I was using, I forget the name of the boots, but it's the curse activation boots, that instant curse activation, and then faster cast curse speed, and that was really fun to use, but they cap out at like 22% move speed, and rare boots can get 35% move speed with 2 to 3 sockets with 100% increased socket effect. So it's not that you're just like nerfing yourself by 10 to 15% when you're using, you know, fun unique boots. You're nerfing yourself by more than double, sometimes 3 that times the movement speed. I guess that's just an unsolvable complaint as an off meta guy who uses like, you know, like wants to use uniques in his builds, and movement speed boots are just such a premium right now, because like you just can't. I stopped using those unique boots. I'm using rare boots, and I just got curse activation through jewels and other ways, right? Like, but it was just so nice having those jewels initially, which is a fun build process to make. But yeah, it just makes specifically move speed feels like on boots, like I can't use any unique boot right now except for maybe Trampletoe. But even then, like it just feels bad running Trampletoe because of how slow it is.
They're so slow.
They're so slow.
I mean,
Love
it's
100%.
It's the only thing keeping Trampletoe balanced. Because if not,
You're right,
Trampletoe
yeah.
is just the most ridiculous item in the game. Like, it literally, for some reason, they keep nerfing like Herald chaining, whatever, but then Trampletoe still exists, and it's way better than any Herald chaining in the game. And the only reason why it's not being used on every build is because of that exact reason of it being slow.
It's slow.
But I do think that it is kind of an issue that, like, you know, there are so many unique boots in the game, but nobody wants to use any of them because it just feels so bad. The only one that people use is like Bone of Uller, and then they have the little line on it. It's like movement speed is based off of spirit.
40%.
Yeah, so it's like that's like the only situation where you have like a unique boot that people are happy to use. But other than that, like unique boots are not used. And I think how Path of Exile 1 kind of gets around with this is like movement skills, right? Because it's kind of like whirling slash builds or twister builds, right? They don't care about move speed, or like Tempest Flurry builds, right? They can use those because they're just attacking to move. Leap slam, yeah. So it's like as if they add more movement skills, you know, then you know we can get around that. But I don't think they're going to do that, and I don't know
movement
if they want
skills
that.
Are all so clunky in this game. Leap slam, for example. Even Stampede, I always have to dodge roll at the end of Stampede. I love Stampede, but why the hell do I need to dodge roll when it's done? Like, why do I get locked in place unless I dodge roll? Like, why? I don't get it.
They want to make a movement skill meta where
But then why do they allow? Yeah. Then why do they allow the dodge roll?
And at the same time, we have Rhoa. And we have builds like my ritualist right now that is zooming around at 200% movement speed. It's just it doesn't make sense, and it's just another like quality of life nerf to builds like Stampede, for example. I don't get it. It's like it's.
I understand Stampede I understand like wanting to have it be smooth on a Stampede, but at the same time, like I do feel like it is very jarring on like a game like, for example, Path of Exile 1, where you're not even moving with your mouse, you're just moving with your buttons. Like, I do think that's like on the opposite end of like a little bit too extreme. Like, I do find that as a person who does, like, I mean, I used to play a lot of Path of Exile 1, right? A lot less nowadays. But I can see from a perspective of somebody who's like trying to get into the game, it's like, why is it like nobody is actually moving? Everybody is just like movement skilling to move. I think that's a little bit weird as well.
Not true.
Yeah.
There should definitely be a balance. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you were talking about earlier how you didn't really see like you had move speed problems on your monk. Were you using palms at all? Because anytime I play a monk and I'm using palms, like the mobility is just, and then Tempest Flurry as well. Like monk just glides around the map.
I was using a mace.
Oh, you're using
Believe it or
mace?
You can take a class of Kongor, but not the weapon. there's always gonna be a slither of the warrior remaining, no matter. You're gonna next league. I'm challenging you to play sorceress, please, and I wanna see that. And
I would probably enjoy it. You know what the thing is? Whenever I play anything else, I'll enjoy it, and then 2 days later, I'm back to what I love.
Yep.
Like I'll enjoy it, but I don't love it.
I've defaulted to a Spark build every single league so far, so I always I go back to what I know. So it's a very human trait, I think.
Well, this is going to be a fun topic to have because you play Warrior I like start Warrior a lot often too. But let's talk about Ascendancy Balance because Ascendancy Balance matters a lot to some people. When we look at PoE Ninja, it is alarming the difference between this game and PoE 1. Just the difference in the Ascendancy Balance. And right now in PoE 2, the top 3 are like 20, like I think Deadeye is what 20-something% right now. I actually don't have PoE Ninja up right now, but
I have it open right now. I'm kind of surprised right now seeing it because it has gotten way better.
Is it normalizing a little bit better?
It's
more and more warriors.
Deadeye. It's 27% Deadeye.
27% Deadeye is really bad. That's really bad.
It's better than before.
And then I would say the first 2 are problematic because it's 27% Deadeye and 17% Blood Mage. Everything else, 10% Invoker. I don't know where that is coming from. 8% Lich,
Monk's pretty popular.
6% Ritualist, 4% Titan. There you go, Congress. That's basically, I guess that's all the people in your chat every single day, the 4% Titans. And then just like all the rest is just like 4%, 3%, and whatever. I feel like the first 2 are definitely problematic because that is 27 plus 17. That's like that's almost half of all Ascendancies in the game are either Deadeye or Blood Mage.
Looking at the week 1 snapshot, it's 39% Deadeye. Just to throw that out
crazy.
there.
But look at the last PoE 1 league. Everyone was playing that stupid snaking crap.
When I looked at it last, I don't know if I looked at a good snapshot. When I looked at it last league, it was like the Ascendancy Balance was like 999. Like it was very balanced.
The thing is, like, the difference is that the first couple weeks a month or whatever, it is a very bad skew because there are certain ascendancies and certain skills that are just way better as league starters than others. But the difference between Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 is over time, it starts to get a lot more balanced to where you see it today with the PoE 2 Ninja, where it's like 8, 8, 8, 7, whatever, right? So, but that's the difference between our games. Our skew doesn't get better. I mean, it does get slightly better, but it never gets to a point where it's like 8, 8, 7, whatever, right? It's always still 30%, 20-something% on one, and maybe like 10, 15% on another, and then everything else is just like unplayed. And I think that
no one wants to do the campaign the second time. So you pick a class and you stick with that until the end. That's how it is.
I've heard that many times. Like that is such a true thing because that makes sense. A lot of time I've had that in my I have that thing in my chat every single day. It's like, oh damn, that build looks great. Can I do it on my Ascendancy? Can I do it on my class? Is there a way? Because I don't want to do this again. And also, what should definitely be mentioned is there's always going to be a meta. No matter what league it is, no matter what the Ascendancy balance looks like, there is always going to be a case where there is going to be a certain Ascendancy that's going to be on top, or there's like 2 Ascendancies that's going to be the most played, or whatever. I think asking for every league to be the same balance or whatever, that's utopia in my opinion. There's always going to be like a certain distribution in terms of Ascendancies or even in terms of builds. I don't even think it's a big thing about just that the Deadeye Ascendancy and the Blood Mage Ascendancy is just on top. It's just like the builds that are best on those Ascendancies are just on top. And I think that's always always going to be a thing. People are always going to gravitate towards what's meta, like what the big streamers are playing or whatever. Like there's definitely, I think, and that's probably also what we kind of want to get at the with the Ascendancy conversation is, are Ascendancies really that big of a deal when it comes to certain builds? And I feel like they're not really. Like there's just so many Ascendancies where it's just like in the farmer event, for example, there was like 3-4 different Ascendancies just playing Spark, because you can just make Spark work on. There was a guy playing Titan Spark, and it was like 9 million tooltip DPS on Spark, because it's just like the Ascendancy is basically just a vessel. The only real downside in that case is the starting point that you get on the passive tree. The Ascendancy honestly didn't really matter, because 90% or even 95%, I would say, on a character is just gear. The passive tree and the Ascendancy is not really that build defining, in my opinion.
Titan, for example, is just you get a bag, Louis Vuitton, and you get a bit of extra life and a little bit of extra explosions, and your small passives are going to be 50% better. But there's nothing really interesting, and there's a couple of interesting things, but they kind of suck, so no one uses them. So like the crushing blow thing is kind of, it's definitely an interesting thing. You could use it, but you don't really see that many people utilize these things because other things are simply better. I often, like, if I go on PoE Ninja and I look at all the Titans, they almost all have the same Ascendancy choices as a Titan. It's always the 50%. It's always the life, and it's either crushing or it's like the aftershock thing. Nothing else ever.
I think that's the case for most Ascendancies, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit last week with our rarity conversation about how, we did touch into Ascendancy Balance last week a little bit too, I think. But it's the Ascendancies right now that are popular are, one, Deadeye, which is extremely powerful because of Tailwind move speed. But again, it is the class that every single Ascendancy node is being used, or at least has a good use. I think like the called shots plus like the crit thing is being used by like potentially like hollow palm players. And then if you're a range character, you're going to be using the projectiles of Tailwind, though Tailwind is used on pretty much every one of them. I use the Frenzy one for like my Spiral Volley build. Like every single Ascendancy node is pretty much being used. Same with Blood Mage. Left side is being used for spellcasters. Right side is being used for, attack classes, right? Every single Ascendancy node is being used by some sort of build on those. And I think that's what makes it so popular and so strong, but also the fact that they all are being used because they're good. They give you something. Because they give you a good amount of stats and a good amount of, power, that opens up your ability to use more rarity on your gear, because instead of having all your power come from your gear, part of the power does also come from the tree and the Ascendancy, right? So I think like those, and then also the builds themselves being so strong allows you to do that. So it's like the Ascendancies that are being picked are the ones that are synergized the best with the best skills, and oftentimes right now are the ones that actually, for the most part, have the most flexibility for like the different types of builds that you can play. And I think there are classes, like you said, KongKongor, that just have some stuff that's kind of like, either they're way too overpowered on certain nodes and other nodes pale in comparison, or it's the opposite, where there is just nodes that are just completely useless. Again, Darkness for Monk, who's using that? Like for Chayula Monk, who cares? Half that tree is completely useless. And then for Ritualist, literally there are builds where they don't even pick up the notables because they're just so bad or so useless, right? Like Rabbits, the Ritualist is just an extra ring slot. That's all it is. You can say some builds use the charm slot, the charm stuff, right? It's kind of cool, but is it build defining? No. Like I think there's
not yet, but like, I mean, we got to remember they might add a lot more unique rings, and we'll get insane synergy, right? So that is definitely a factor to consider. But
the unique rings, like, again, it's just an extra ring slot. But I do think that the charm side of things could have a little bit more use in the future. But it's just that at the moment where we stand right now, there are just things where it's just like, why would you even use this? Like it's like at the moment in the current game state, there's pretty much no reason why you would ever want to use it. So it's like multiple reasons why certain ascendancies are being played more than others. But I do think that it's true that what you're saying earlier, Rabbit, like our gear is way too powerful, and the ascendancy itself, for the most part, doesn't matter. Like I think like half of the builds out there, you could probably take off the ascendancy and it would probably perform almost at the same level of power.
Yep.
So my question is then, what do you like? So right now, like obviously gear is super powerful right now, but which world do you prefer? Do you prefer all ascendancies being on the level of Blood Mage or Deadeye, like where every ascendancy has, like not every ascendancy has to have that kind of weight, but are you wanting more power like from those ascendancies, or are you wanting those ascendancies brought down to the level of Titan and all these other ones where they're not near as like meta defining at this point? Like which side of the coin are you preferring them go, like GG to go?
Personally, I would like them to. I would rather them do everything like Deadeye and Blood Mage. It's just a little more fun, in my opinion. Like it again, just making it so that the ascendancy actually have some sort of like weight on your character, as opposed to being just like a nothing burger, and just being like, oh, a little bit of QOL here and there. But again, I don't even think Titan's that weak. I think like
I didn't say weak. I didn't say
Insane.
weak. I main Titan every ascendancy. I said flashy. There's nothing flashy about Titan. It's just your passives are better. Like your stats are better.
But hulking form is so goddamn powerful. But yeah,
I've said Titan's the best ascendancy every patch for a reason. I'm all in on hulking form. I just said flashy though.
Yeah,
it's not flashy. It's just stats go up. Like
yeah.
Yeah,
no, very true. Yeah,
whatever it is, whatever it might be, I just think that the ascendancy needs to be impactful. Like, so you choose an ascendancy because it really, really synergizes with your ability or your skills, your build, rather than be like, oh, there's this one thing in this ascendancy that's good, and then everything else is like, oh, it kind of helps me out a little bit.
An ascendancy should make your playstyle very unique. Like only your ascendancy can do this or that. Like Juggernaut in PoE 1 is completely unhindered by a lot of stuff, for example. That kind of stuff. Like unique traits to the ascendancy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can...
more life and a bit more stats.
There's a lot of stuff in the general tree that you can kind of pick up from the ascendants. Like the ascendancies have a lot of things that you can get on the generic tree as well. Like, for example, like Pathfinder, you can't be slowed or whatever. You can literally get that just by pathing to the enough nodes where it's like, slow reduction, or it's like immunity to certain element, like certain ailments. Like you can get that on the tree as well. Like there's a lot of stuff that's already on the tree, like that's on the ascendancy trees that is shared with the general passive tree. And I think that they need to make the ascendancies, like you said, just, more unique in where there's nowhere else that you can get this ability. Kind of like the ring for Ritualist, or like the hulking form for Titan.
Yeah.
Or if Witch Hunter was the only thing that could Culling Strike, but now you can get Culling Strike on like anything right now or something like that. Like, yeah, there's not much specializing with these. I guess Blood Mage is a good example. Like either Blood Mage you go to when you want spell crits, like there's a lot of crit spells that or spells that have low base crit that suddenly you enable crit builds on them. That's nice.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of unique things already, but it needs to be. They need to go a bit more deep into that. I mean, there's definitely, because I'm seeing chat right now, and people are saying, "Oh, well, there's this and that and that," but if you compare it to PoE 1,
no, I get you're right.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's just a little, like how Mark would say it, they don't quite hit the mark. Not yet. I mean, it's good. There's definitely a couple of really good ones, but there's also some that are not that good. And even if they're very unique, if it's bad, it's still bad.
Blood
Boil? We also have bad.
Yeah,
we also have bad stuff in PoE 1. I mean, like there's so many ascendancies that are barely touched in PoE 1.
Like I think Assassin.
So we got to be honest.
Right?
Things will always go around, right?
Yeah, but I think it's just about finding the right balance.
Yeah. And how many builds have not been discovered yet? right? There could be the most insane Chronomancer builds, but we just haven't discovered it yet.
I think Chronomancer is actually one of the more unique builds where like you can really do some really flashy stuff with Chrono. Like, of course, like as an overall Ascendancy, it's pretty underpowered, but there's a lot of stuff that you can't do on other builds other than Chrono because of the time freeze mechanic.
Yep.
I think like uniqueness is the word, right? Like just looking at the passive tree, whether it is Ascendancies now, I sent the passive tree heat map in our chat, Miso, if you can pull it up real quick. I think there's just...
I'll post it in Twitch chat for you. He can't get
there's just
Discord.
a lot of missing, like KongKongor said, uniqueness, whether it is on the passive tree or whether it is on the Ascendancies. It's just... most people, no matter what build you're playing or like looking at the meta builds, most people are picking up the same stuff. As you can see on the seed map here, look at the warrior area. There's nothing going on there. And if you look just at the travel nodes on the sides there, it's that is the passive heat map that we have right now. And it's just people are just trying to get to the movement speed nodes. They're trying to get to the nodes, to the travel nodes on the sides. That's also where you get all the jewel slots on that. So there's just to go back to the word. There's just a lot of uniqueness missing. What makes a build actually unique in a way that this build can only do this, and this is what makes this build not comparable to others. Right now, we just have a situation where everything just like mushes into the same at a certain point because most people are going for the same stuff. Yeah, because in the end, it doesn't really matter. Because like if you're playing a Spark build and you have like the best gear ever for the Spark build, doesn't really matter whether the passive tree points are mostly just a bonus on top or get me more movement speed or whatever, and the Ascendancy node as well. It's mostly about gear. There's not really any unique choices you kind of do on the passive tree to make a build or to define a build or what a build does.
I think it over time will get better as more and more uniques make it into the game. I mean, it's so limited right now. I think we have like more than 1,000 in PoE 1, and then this game has maybe a couple hundred, maybe. So, I mean, over time, there's going to be more and more possible, and we should start seeing more variations, I guess. But yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean,
I do agree with you, though.
Yeah.
In the current state.
I do think the power, it was intentional for them to make the passive tree weaker in general. Like compared to like gear, but I don't know. I do think that it does impact build diversity, and again, it goes back to that topic. The whole topic is just like gear being too strong, and having all the power focus on gear is not necessarily a good thing either. But it just does make the game easier to play if you take out what is usually perceived as the most complex things about Path of Exile, right? If you make it not as impactful, the most complex thing, then it makes it easier for people who just want to hop into the game and play casually to kind of do it, as opposed to a game where the passive tree is very, very impactful. And you hop in, and if you don't know how to navigate the passive tree, you're just kind of shit out of luck, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like the game just needs more time to cook. And hopefully a lot of this will solve itself in time. Obviously, we can try and point things in a certain direction. Obviously, yeah, a bunch of new uniques and more Ascendancies are coming as well. More weapon types, all that is just going to solve those problems. And I love that you say that there are just so many builds out there that aren't discovered. So many, like, who knows what techniques are like going to just completely just change how we look at builds and stuff that are sitting under there. So
I think it's very interesting. Before we move on to this topic, when we're talking about like this undiscovered thing, when I was on Flubgun's channel the other day after our podcast, when he said hi, he mentioned something that I think I've never really thought about before, and it's the amount of people that are like experimenting and labbing things out in PoE 2. Even though we have a lot of players, there's a lot less people that are really trying to optimize things. And like it could be for a couple of reasons, right? Like one, there's not enough people who like actually care about the game. Like the game is not in a state where people are caring too much about it. But then two, it's like because things change so often, a lot of people might feel like there's not really a point to actually like figuring these things out fully, because it might just get all changed next league or something like that. So like I do think that there is an aspect of like there probably might be things that aren't being discovered, but at the same time, you know, one of the reasons why that might not be happening is like people just don't really care enough to do it right now because of the state of the game.
There's many things going on there. Like the biggest example I can give, like last patch, the Bira's builds. Bira was a very popular playstyle for a while, and it across multiple different archetypes. It was super cool, and then it got deleted from the game, and it's like that happens a lot of the time when you find cool techniques where it just like it's an unintended feature that you know is going to get removed, or the reverse happens where you're spending, you know, several hundred divines trying to get those boots to work, and it ends up being just a dead end of like emotional like despair where you just spent 100 divines and all this time and like it didn't work. That is where most of the exploration ends up right now. Is 90% of the time it's either you wasted your time and it's not going to work out, or you found something that's super cool, but then it just gets bug fixed out like the next patch, like with Oxgrix's, you know, weapon swaps, and you know, with the Bira's Ignite that Cooler Peon found last patch. Like that is very demoralizing when it comes to like there was a lot more people coming up with cool techniques last patch. Like I felt that loss for sure, and I'm just sure it's like because it's early access, it's very demoralizing. That's just the vibe I've gotten. Like I'm almost at the end of the league for me because the last few builds I've tried, I've just been running to like dead ends where it's like, well, that sucks, and it's oftentimes because of bugs or like broken interactions that you assume should work, and yeah, that just gets draining after a while. I don't know. I get it.
What kind of bugs have you encountered?
Let me think off the top of my head.
I could even just the boots.
Oh, like
right?
his boots specifically. Yeah,
boots.
the boots specifically. The
Shakeout boots are bugged to hell. The tooltips do not display the correct damage. They do not display the correct crit. Certain like gems work and don't work with them for some reason, for no apparent reason. Like it's just they're bugged to all hell. Even Path of Building does not have the right tooltip on it either.
Oh.
Like, nobody really knows how the boots work. It's like they don't have an attack tag on them, but they scale with attacks. But at the same time, you can't use attack gem like increases, like, you know, levels to increase the boot levels. And when you put like boot level, like, you know, like physical mastery or whatever, like the level of the boot goes up, but the tooltip doesn't go up. It's really bugged. It's bugged all hell. And then like the Fairgraves bow, right? The cool new bow that got added. If you're using like any sort of like lesser multiple projectile, oh, not lesser multiple projectile, multi-shot or Nova on them, right? For some reason, the distance that you can shoot the arrow at just becomes next to your feet. You can't shoot them any further than that. Like there's a lot of stuff in the game, especially this league, that are just bugged. There's a lot of bugged interactions.
Yeah, with the unique specifically, which is like, I don't know, I get excited about uniques. They're really cool to me, especially the ones that give skills, and oftentimes they either just don't scale, or like when you put gems in them, they just don't work, and it just, oh man, I just spent 20 divines and now I have to do something else.
Yeah.
That's just from my experience. I'm just trying to throw a reason why out there. It doesn't, like, there's probably a lot of reasons why you don't see much experimentation right now. But that's just the vibe I've gotten. I felt like last patch there was a lot of cool techniques popping up. Like for the first month of 0.2, there was a lot of goofy techs that showed up, and then this patch, it like outside of like a handful of really cool things, like with Oscrix or the Mirage Archer tech, you know, it's just been people min-maxing their damage, but not so many cool techniques, you know.
Or their move speed rarity.
Or move speed, yeah. I don't know if you have thoughts, Rabbit. You haven't really been build crafting much lately.
No, kind of for the exact same reasons, because it's very, very top heavy right now, and there's gonna be fun builds basically that I will try out. But they're most likely always going to be like novelty builds, I would say. And that is just something, like, speaking as someone who is streaming and doing content on the game, that is just not something that a lot of people are interested in. Because even if the league is like winding down or whatever, going for a build that might be like out there and off meta and fun, if it doesn't do like at least 80% of what Ally Deadeye can do, it is just not going to be interesting to a lot of people. And I get that. I just wish that there would be more ways for there to be a case where you can do like wonky off meta builds and you can still like have at least a slither of the same efficiency that you can have on the meta builds. It's just like from a build crafter perspective, and especially as someone like doing videos on those builds and whatever, it's just it's a novelty at a certain point, and that's what you're encountering. You're just doing like off the cuff crazy stuff, but a lot of the times it just runs into and whatever the reason might be, but
there's plenty of builds I've made the last few weeks that I just didn't make guides for because it was like sure, some people would have wanted to play them, but a majority of the people at this point in the league, they want high rarity and they want high move speed. And the fun stuff, which is fun, which I don't mind doing on my stream, but like majority of people aren't interested in it at this point. When you're watching you do what you're doing, what KingKongor is doing, what he's doing, like why would you play the 20% move speed, 0% rarity build that's fun for, a novelty? Literally, they're novelty builds right now, so I get it.
Yep. It's like the FOMO discussion that we have had last week, and Miso said it's not FOMO, it's just Mo, right?
Yep. Just missing out.
It is just how an ARPG works. Like if the build is, it might be fun, it might be able to clear everything, but people are always going to do the comparison, understandably so, and I do it myself as well. Because a lot of times when, like last league, for example, when I did like the Titan crossbow or the Mjolnir or whatever, the comment that was the most, or like the most common comment on stuff like that is always, wait, I can just do this on 150 exalteds on a Deadeye. Like, yeah, that's true. But where do we land here? So that means all innovation or all build crafting or all build trying out should stop at that point? I personally don't think so. It was just like this league, I haven't really had the biggest motivation to try out all the stuff because of the things that we have mentioned, because I just feel like there's going to be more stuff in the future where that's probably going to be a little bit more satisfying to then try out if we have all the skills, when we have all the skills, when we have all the different weapon types, when we have all ascendancies. I think then there's just going to be a place where there's going to be much more to discover, and hopefully the balance at that stage will also be in a way where you're not going to feel like you're breaking your own legs when you're not playing the most meta build. So
how many weeks ago
I feel like people should just, in the end, you play a class fantasy, right? Like who cares what farms the best? Obviously you want to farm well, but you just got to farm well for yourself. If you're playing something meta, you have to farm like meta because your items are going to be 10 times the price for the people that play something less meta. So in that way, you play what you want and it will balance itself out, because you play something that's slower, less people play it, your stuff is cheaper. So you're still finding enough to afford it. Never played anything where I felt like I cannot afford anything. And honestly, if you play like a Deadeye, you probably have a harder time getting all that good stuff anyways, because everyone wants that good stuff. So I think it's actually, even though you're playing the best build, you're having a harder time gearing.
Well,
probably. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Right, because even though you're playing off meta, the only ways to scale damage are the same across most classes. Like it's either crit chance, crit damage, or skill levels. So if you're playing a projectile build, you're gonna run into the Deadeye stuff no matter what. Right, if you're playing,
don't play it then.
If you're playing a spell, if you're playing a spell build, you're gonna run into the stuff for that Blood Mage uses, right? Spark Blood Mage. So it's like, yes, you can play what you want and be able to get some cheaper stuff, but there's still a lot of very expensive stuff regardless, because of the fact that there's just a limited amount of ways to scale right now. Like in Path of Exile 1, there's a lot more specific stuff where it's like, oh, specifically like this is for chaos stuff. This is for like, fire stuff or whatever, right? But in Path of Exile 2, the scaling of builds is just so generic.
Plus spell skills, plus melee skills.
It's just so generic.
No, that's very true.
Yeah. Agreed. I think that's all good points, though. I think, that's a good way to end the topic. Let's move on to build of the week. We each have a build to show off, and this week I'll go first. Actually, KongKongor doesn't have one. We asked them to come on the podcast 15 minutes before we went live. So,
well, I mean, we usually don't ask the guests to have their own builds, anyways.
I have a build of the week: KingKongor Stampede build.
We can showcase it.
No, just
I approve this message.
People have seen it.
Okay, so I am showcasing a build from Requip Gaming. He is a smaller creator, and it is just a Poison Pathfinder where he's like one-shotting bosses with Plasma Blast, and then for mapping, he is doing armor-piercing rounds with Poison Spread. It's nothing crazy. It's another run-and-gun crossbow Pathfinder build, or crossbow build. But the reason I wanted to showcase this build is he seems like a really cool creator. His process for making this build was like how, I guess Miso and I like to approach our build was like we very quickly just like I want to do. Like his thought was I want to do Poison run-and-gun on a Pathfinder, and then he just went with it, and he was able to full clear the game insanely well. I mean, his boss damage is great. It looks like it's a lot of fun. It was a 4-part series for him. Again, we've all seen run and gun builds. This is nothing crazy to the meta. This is just me wanting to showcase something from, I guess, a smaller creator, because I really loved his build make process. I feel like it should, it's a good way to approach builds when you're getting new to it. Just start with, I want to do something fun, and let's just go from there. And, it ended up being a cool build. You don't really get to see run and gun builds on Pathfinder. I know a lot of people like Pathfinder and want to make it cool. The Poison Spread is obviously pretty juiced, but it's not going to be the best build you've played. It's not like, anything insane, but it's pretty damn good. And the guy just seemed cool. It's a cool build, cool creator. So shout out to Requip Gaming. If you want a Poison Run and Gun Pathfinder, check out this build.
Yeah, seems pretty solid.
I like the simulacrum part where it's just like poison clouds everywhere. So I heard you guys dislike the delirium fog, huh? So you want to add some more visual on clarity onto your delirium fog that we already all hate? So yeah, that's crazy. Looks very nice.
Yeah, I love running gun builds.
Great way to fix the fog is to make sure you don't see the fog.
Put something more, more screen covering.
A nice filter.
You don't like the gray filter? Here, have a green filter.
No, I think that was on the filter on the build.
Yeah, item filters. Nah, but it's lots of items.
That's a lot of 14 gold piles right there.
Yeah, a lot of gold.
Man needs a better filter for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Can you do filters? Maybe he's on console.
You can do
I don't know if that's
you can. Yeah.
Okay, then never mind then.
Yeah,
no excuses. No excuses for all the little gold piles, but it's a cool build.
Oh my god, now it's getting worse.
It's a cool process.
Oh god, it's getting worse.
There's so much stuff on the screen. Get it out of here.
Builds, please get a filter.
This is
oh my god,
visual clarity build.
It's getting worse.
No, he does have a filter. Look, he gets the special colors on what he's
Why all the gold piles?
He loves gold.
He needs to get a
Hey man, maybe he was just farming castaways and he wanted to make sure he got it all. You never know.
Yeah. When I went into castaways, I actually turn off my filter.
Same. I do the same. You want to see where all the gold is.
Yep, because nothing else are upstairs.
This is rough though, brother. I didn't get this far into the clearing section. That is a lot of that is a messy filter.
Oh my god.
Cool build though.
Yeah, cool build.
Nice.
All right.
It reminds me of a demon hunter from Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly how armor piercing routes always like.
Yeah, because Cal made a build that's similar to this too.
Yeah.
It's like Vala.
Yeah, the demon hunter in Diablo 3.
Strafe or whatever it's called again. Called? Strafe.
Strafe, yeah, Strafe. Yeah, I mean, I was a witch doctor main, so
I
are we on to the next one?
Whirlwind Barb. Yeah, sure.
Whirlwind Barb
Well,
for
I
the
think we
win.
were going on a meet, right? So
Yes, sir.
So I am not necessarily. I mean, I am showcasing a build ish, but it's more of a concept rather than a full build, kind of like the Mirage Archer stuff. But Kingpin, I think I might have talked about him on this pod before, maybe not. But he's a creator that I followed for since 0.1, and he's done some cool stuff. But basically, what he did was he's using Witch Hunter. And just taking a bunch of coal nodes plus increasing the ability of like using the timeless jewel to increase the ability of the coal nodes, on top of taking like the coal helmet to get his coal on white mobs to over 100%. So literally you can sneeze on these monsters and they will die. And he's combining it with Trampletoe to make it so that since you're killing the monsters with 1 damage, every damage over 1 or whatever is adding to Trampletoe, which again, every monster takes 1 damage to die. So every monster just propagates Trampletoe like crazy. Now, unfortunately, rares don't get that. Like, you cannot get the coal threshold low enough to make it so they can sneeze on them. But because you are running Trampletoe, the burst damage from the overkill damage is, if you have enough monsters around it, will most likely kill all the rares. In this video, he combines it with the Dream Receptor to do even more damage, but he does have a version at the end where it doesn't use the Dream Receptor. But the other reason why I wanted to highlight this and showcase this was because Uncle Jay and I had been chatting about this before, like when I saw this, and he combined it with the Shankon boots that I had so much trouble getting to work because the tooltip wasn't showing correctly. But let's say you have an item like the Shankon boots, right, that has a skill that does no damage. Well, if you don't need to do damage to clear monsters, then at the end of the day, why does it matter how much damage you're doing, right? So he combines the boots with the Dream Receptor, so he's able to just like kill packs of monsters with the Shankon boots, which I think is super, super cool. So I don't know how far he's gotten in the build making process for this. This is just a very much a proof of concept that it does work. So I'm hoping to see what he can do with this and make this even better, because I wanted to make these boots work, but unfortunately I couldn't. And with this new concept, hopefully he can get something to work to where it's actually a functioning build.
That looks really cool. I'm seeing one problem though. You want to know what?
What's up?
You're not liking all these beautiful creators, their videos.
You make fun of them all the time. He doesn't subscribe to half of them too. He's the worst.
I don't subscribe either, but I do give people the likes.
We'll give them the likes. We'll give them the likes. Here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Drop the likes. Drop the likes. There we go. Boom.
Good boy. Hell yeah. I mean, especially you're a creator. You know how much they help.
Yes, it is true. It is true. Everybody like the videos. Like the videos. But yeah, the other really cool thing.
Every video now.
The other really cool thing about like the coal tech is that you can use the coaling abilities from 100, right? So you can use lightning warp. You can use it's the something within that from like the Abyssal Scepter. So that's like the other cool thing that you can do with the coal tech.
That's cool. Interesting. Now you got me wanting to revisit my Witch Hunter. That's cool.
Uncle Jay does it with the Blood Mage because unfortunately you cannot put Culling Strike on the boots. Unfortunately, again, I don't know why you can't do it, but
of course,
apparently you can't. So he goes Blood Mage because Blood Mage is a thing where all enemies you curse have 15% of their life reserved or something like that. So it just lowers the Culling threshold by 15%.
That is also smart.
Yeah.
And he's running the best map.
Yeah. Not Epitaph.
Haters, every one of you guys.
No. Epitaph is also amazing. I love it.
Yeah, just Confluence is goated right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what I like more. I mean, Ravine's cool too, but it's just really long. But I like Confluence.
I'm a Steaming Springs enjoyer.
I always feel like performance is so bad on that map.
Really?
How's
I've not
Savannah
had that.
performance now?
It's fine.
Better.
It's fine.
It's better, right?
I feel like it's better. It's mostly, I don't think it's mostly not down to the map, but the breaches and abyss, and sometimes it just completely goes down a cliff. I'm playing with Embitter now on my Spark to shatter every single corpse, so that improved my performance by a lot.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
On the map.
Is that real? Like, you're actually doing that just for performance?
Yep. Yep.
That's awesome.
I don't need any damage on my Spark. It's just like I put in Bitter in Spark now, so everything is just cold damage. Everything is just getting frozen and shattered, so there's no corpses, and my performance is so much better. So
Embitter is the best thing ever. I love Embitter.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna nerf it though, but Embitter is amazing.
It's really strong.
100%. Yeah, very powerful.
Okay, am I up?
Yep, your build.
I mean,
My build of the week is
wonder who
by
it
someone
is.
I haven't really, I haven't heard of this guy before. Oh wait, what is this? ASTE. Yeah, A stay. I guess I never heard of the creator before. No,
Korean guy.
It's yeah, no, it's a meme because I've showcased like 3 builds
guy's the
by
goat.
Aste now. I think Aste is the absolute goat, and yeah, it's an Amazon build. It's an Amazon Primal Strike spear build with Lightning Warp, which is also immortal, basically. It uses the same tech that I've seen on some other ES builds so far, that are basically immortal, since you are recouping your energy shield when you get hit and stuff, and it's literally immortal. I think, what was the guy's name who used it and showcased it on Arbiter and stuff? He showcased it on the Deadeye, I forgot. But yeah, this is the build on Aste. It is super, super hard to just put into like a TLDR here, this build, because there is so much cooking involved for this build. If you go to his YouTube and check out the ninja for his build, it is insane. The amount of cook is absolutely insane. He uses like 6 different interactions. He's also using like a type of herald chaining, I think. He's using like the Pietis Mercy or whatever it's called, where you cannot kill the stuff with your the ability that has the support gem slotted in there. It's also, like you're seeing right now, it's using Lightning Warp to just zoom around to make it look like a Flicker Strike build. He's also using the freezing Shrine Scepter in the offhand to have the freezing effect and to freeze everything. And then, yeah, it's just Primal Strikes. It functions incredibly well on both maps and bosses. Miso, if you go to the part where he's killing Zesht or something. So, yeah, it's absolute, yeah, just, again, kind of insane. He's not even playing the build anymore now, but yeah, you can see it on Zesht. It's just, yeah, it's insane. Also, like I said, immortal. A lot of cooking involved in this build. It's insane. It's probably the best spear build that I've seen this league. I've not really seen the spear archetype used at all so far. I know Lightning Spear is definitely still available, but I don't think many people are wanting to go for that build, because it's just like, why would you if it was so prevalent last league? Yeah, it's an insane build. There's so much cooking involved. He's actually now on a Titan build right now, which looks very
huge AoE, pulse circle, big explosions.
Yeah. So yeah, as I say, like always, so much cooking involved on his build. It's incredible. So yeah.
I mean, to give like
there's one problem I have with Asta. He plays with increased gamma and like bloom on 500%.
That's what makes it. His builds look so flashy, you know. That's what makes it look so flashy.
It's so crazy.
Bloom 500%. I actually mimicked his screen recording style yesterday. I put Bloom at 130%, and I what else did I do? I increased the gamma by a bit. It might actually be that he plays on HDR, probably. Maybe.
That might also be the case, yeah.
Yeah, but it always looks like so bright, his screen. Because people are like, oh, his clear is better, and then I put like the same settings as the way it looks, and then they were like, oh, never mind. Because I also clear the entire screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like his builds are awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, and to give a little bit of a context of like how like this build works, for just like the damage part. So what he does is he puts Piety's whatever on his Herald of Ice. That way his Herald of Ice doesn't kill, and he has Lightning Orb linked to cast on crit. So basically he uses that to make sure he's always able to cull, and then Lightning Orb is what culls the enemies and does the clear. And yeah, that's kind of
I was doing that in my Mjolnir build. Basically the same exact thing. You just, because if you kill the enemy, you can't warp to it. So Piety's I think it's called Piety's Mercy. It prevents you from killing the mob. So then you warp to it, and then the warp's what kills it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think
It's really cool.
it's exactly what people were using for the Arc Lightning Warp builds, where Arc wasn't killing with Piety's Mercy, and then they just Lightning Warp over to it. So he's basically using the same concept, but with Herald of Ice instead of Arc.
Yeah, it's sick.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, KingKongor. Really appreciate it. It was a fun episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, wait for it. Let's go ahead and just go through our shout outs. Do you have anything you want to say to the viewers where they can follow you and whatnot?
You can find me everywhere under the same name that you see on the screen. I don't think it's different anywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter.
I had to correct the MOBA guys because originally they had a 0 instead of an O at the end for KingKongor. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how it looks.
Really?
Yep.
Oh. They had a 0? Oh, that's funny. Oh, thanks for fixing that. I appreciate it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, dude. There's it's just KingKongor, how you write it. So no, but it was really fun. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in the last notice.
Yeah, anytime, dude. Anytime.
Are you going to be diving deep in, like, I assume you're just going to be going ham on 3.27 and taking a break from PoE 2 when that comes out?
We'll see. I don't know how. I'm not bored of PoE 2, but I'm definitely going to check out PoE 1. I don't know what I'm going to play. We'll see. I'm definitely going to be playing PoE 1, but yeah, if I get bored, I just go PoE 2 again. We'll see. I'm still having fun. There's so much I want to do. Maybe I'll go solo self-hunt at one point. I think I'm going to be back to PoE 2 pretty quick. But yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. What about you guys?
I think the exact same thing. I'm still having a lot of fun. I feel like I probably will dive into 3.27, but I don't know. I literally the exact same thing. I want to do 3.27 and then come back and do solo self-found because I haven't done any SSF yet. So I think that's literally my exact plan right now.
Yeah, very likely the same. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna dive into it too much. I'm also gonna be taking like a 2.5 week vacation in November. So
nice.
That's happening. I'll be doing a lot of IRL streams in Japan. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Nice.
And the great thing is, because I stream on such a fucked up schedule, I'll be streaming normal schedule.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I always wonder about you. It's like it's always so late for you. I don't know how some of you guys do that. I mean, me and Rabbit were like, daytime Andes, but you're usually on when I start, and you're on for quite a while I start. And I know that people, I know what time it is for you. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just what ends up working with my schedule. But it'll be in Japan for a little bit, and we'll be streaming there. But other than that, I'm playing some Torchlight right now. I think Torchlight is a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys enjoy Torchlight at all, but it's a good time.
I do.
Never played it.
Good. I like their crafting. You don't have to think. You just say, I want this, click, and it stops when you get it.
Yep. I don't know why Path of Exile doesn't have that.
I like
where it's
that.
like, you should be able to be like chaos spam until I get it.
Well, I mean, we want it, but I think if it is there, then the magic of hitting something big is kind of gone. Then it's just like, I want this. Okay, I'll have it.
I think
is there magic though? I don't.
Yeah, exactly. You think you do, but you don't.
You do, but you don't.
I don't feel the magic. I was chaos spamming last night, and I'm just like, all right.
You're not a real crafter, me, so.
Damn.
It's honestly that feeling. Nothing beats that when you finally get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a thing you think you do, but you don't. 100%. But I can, like, to be honest, when I was doing those 15,000 chaos, I was like, why don't they have this? I was actually complaining.
Yeah.
But then you hit it, it's like, oh yeah, that's why we don't have it.
Rabbit, you didn't get to answer his question. Are you going to dive into PoE 1?
I don't know yet. I'll wait for the announcement and whatever. I'll for sure. I don't think I'm gonna decide that now. It's I'm gonna wait for the announcement. I'll see. I'll definitely watch the announcement together with my stream, and then I will not be here for exactly the launch. So I have 2 days where it's like where I have a family thing on exactly the 31st of October and then 1st of November. So that's gonna like I was very sure that I will play PoE 1 for like the first 2 weeks or something, but not having the launch experience.
You're still gonna log in. You're gonna log in.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited for it. It's gonna be the same for me. I'm having so much fun with PoE 2. I think it's the future. I love PoE 1. I played PoE 1 like for years on end. Just because I like PoE 2 so much now, and I think this is by far the best league so far. It's hard for me to. It's like two addictions at the same time is kind of dangerous.
It's rough, dude.
I'm very, very worried. Like my biggest worry about like diving into PoE 1 again is that I just completely lose it on PoE 1 again, and then it's just like, oh god, now I'm actually just gonna be addicted to PoE 1 as well now. So because it is such a like, especially the end game loop is something that is just my fix. Like that was always the one that just completely got me. So we'll see. I'll see as I go.
Okay. Well, let's go. That was King. Anything else you wanted to say goodbye to the viewers before we fully sign off, KingKongor?
You can follow me on Twitch. No, I'm just kidding. Like. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, do it. Do the shout outs. Do the call outs, man.
We already did that, right? So
she did that. Yeah, I was just making sure he had nothing else he wanted to add on top.
No, it was really fun. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And you can always talk to me anytime. So if you have anything to share, you know where to find me. So thanks for having me, guys.
We'll definitely be having you back. This is our longest episode, probably. I think we're like pushing 2.5 hours, so that's always a really good sign. But yeah, Miso, let's get your sign off.
Yep, as per usual, Miso X Shiro, Twitch, stream every day, YouTube. You're probably watching the VOD there. And yeah, I'll be playing Path of Exile 2, continue to do that. Also sprinkling in a little bit of Torchlight Infinite here and there as well. And, come check me out. I'll be in Japan in November too. So if you want to see some IRL streams of that, come hang out.
Go ahead, Rabbit.
Didn't I already do mine? I stream PoE 2 on Twitch. That's me. Hello.
And I stream as well. Sometimes make YouTube, or I mostly make YouTube videos, sometimes stream. But next week specifically, I am doing my Thorns Temporalis challenge. I've created a little like event, like a challenge list for it with rules and stuff. I'm not allowed to start any preparation or like practice runs until Monday, and then we're doing the actual Temporalis run with Thorns on Friday. So next week I'll just be streaming the dumbest challenge possible in PoE 2, and we'll see how it goes. So if you want to watch. You want to watch something really dumb next week? Come stop by my stream. But outside of that, we'll be live with the episode next week. Yeah. See you guys then. Bye-bye.